If you're new here, hi, I'm Jonah, the host of Moving Women Forward community podcast, with my mission to help 100 women in 100 days move from feeling stuck to empowered, amplifying their voices through expert-led support, visibility opportunities, and meaningful networking. Now sit back, grab your cup of coffee or your favorite drink, and be inspired to move forward in life and in business with our next episode.
It's such a cliche, but networking is the basis of collaboration and how we grow as business owners. This is how I met Thalia. I met Thalia online. She's our expert speaker today, so guest speaker for our podcast. Thank you so much, Thalia, for being here today with us in this live show. I will not do very much introductions. I will leave the floor to you. So the floor is yours. Tell us more what you do, why you do it, and what inspires
Thank you,
you
Jonah,
to do
and
what
thank
you
you
do. Thank
for
you
the
so much, Thalia.
opportunity to share my story. So my name is Thalia Brown. I'm a CEO and founder of a company called The Authentic Discussion. It's kind of a labor of love. I used to be a diversity recruiter. I'm proud to say I'm one of the 300,000 Black women who lost their job during the DEI kind of shutdown. And as a diversity recruiter, you don't just do it for the sake of doing it. You kind of have a passion behind your job, right? You want to help those that may have been marginalized, haven't had a chance to get into corporate spaces, don't know how to do that. And it's really a lot more impactful than just getting a resume to a hiring manager and getting them the interview and getting them the job, right? And when I lost that, I wouldn't say my career, but when I lost the journey of diversity, I wanted to pivot, kind of stay doing something similar, and decided to lean into social impact a little bit heavier and really put a focus towards gender equity. The gender equity research that I do right now is really more and more of a think tank social economist fashion. I really want to empower women with tools to actually understand the economy, understand the global market, understand how to pivot and position themselves for the future of work. And I think that's lost right now, especially in the US, because everyone is it can be such a microeconomy where everyone is so focused on the social woes instead of how are we moving forward? What do I need to concentrate on to be an effective candidate for the next 5 years of the future of work, right? So what I've created is more of a learning tool. It's still in somewhat of product development where it's shaping someone's ability to gather knowledge by reading, learning, and analyzing kind of what's happening in today's market. Obviously, I fuel that by articles, by content curation, and specifically, I'm developing a 6-week workshop on identifying triggers, helping women kind of unpack, I wouldn't say emotional management, but the things that trigger and give them the anxiety, give them the self-confidence issues or lack thereof. And I think part of that is not understanding some of the nuances of life that impact your ability to think outside of the emotional situation or the reaction that you're having in the time of, right? And as women, we're always given kind of like these unrealistic, I'd call them cliffs, right? Or circumstances. Maybe it's taking care of a parent. Maybe it's taking care of your children. And then you're expected to be just as informed as someone who doesn't have those levels of responsibility. So how do you do both, right? And my tool is more of, okay, here are the trends that are happening right now. Here are the things that you should be mindful of as you're considering your next step in the workforce, right? We're having an evolution of AI right now in the United States. We're probably a little bit behind the times with that, but our evolution is hitting fast and hard, and a lot of people aren't ready for it, right? They don't have the skills. They don't know where to go to find those skills. I'm not saying I'm a workshop for AI, but I'm here to help you embrace it, learn what it's about, and move forward, right? So think of me as kind of like you're all-encompassing think tank. I'm not just here to give you information, but I'm also here as a tool to help you kind of provide that step up that you need to kind of get over some of the hurdles that are facing us in a day-to-day workplace setting. Just a little bit more about what I do, and feel free to ask me any questions, Jonah, and I'm happy to share a bit more.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Thalia. So a couple of things, right? So we've had in the past, in the last week, actually, we had a masterclass led by an expert AI. We've had another talk, a couple of more talks, actually, as in podcast show with other experts in AI. So there's a lot of AI happening in the world. We want all digital. We want everything to happen in a minute. We can't be waiting. What I'm not going to say I'm concerned, but what I've noticed, I've read a few. So I keep up with trends and information across social media platforms and also on other sources of information. And what is happening is that people, primarily the younger generation, but even other people my age or other people who are in the audience, probably the same group age or similar, it's happening that people are more on the AI side, like having conversation with AI. So I feel like we are losing a bit of confidence in there. So we are losing our communication skills. We are losing our confidence because we're chatting.
That's true. And then there's
to nobody, basically.
There's also the point of language models, right? Where you're dealing with inputting data, figuring out whether the data that you're getting back is correct, and then figuring out if you can continue to manage the use of it. For me, I don't feel comfortable 100% with using ChatGPT. I still want to do what I'm doing, but then I've used it as a sideline, right? I use it as a virtual assistant and slowly migrate it into my daily work stream. And again, I think some of the things I've noticed that impact women are like the fear of failure, the fear to try something and if it works, great. If it doesn't work, how is that going to impact what I'm doing going forward, right? And so a lot of us, we're always looking for perfection. We focus on doing that, using anything that makes us look better than we present, right? So I think even for myself, I'll use myself as an example. I kind of am the intimate overachiever, I call myself, where I always take a project to the next step, whether it's the use of AI or the use of transformative tools like the DISC assessment to help build out a coaching platform. I'm always trying to lean in to look at the next best, greatest wave. And sometimes that's exhausting. And sometimes you don't catch it. So it's almost like you want that virtual assistant to help you kind of coach through navigating in the unknown, navigating new technology. So I think that's really where I'm coming from, is don't allow yourself to be kind of the guinea pig of the hurdles of not being able to manage technology, work through the technology, and do it in a way where you're learning through failure, if that makes sense. Like, don't give yourself that, oh, I didn't get it right, I must not be good at this. Well, I think everyone feels that way. Try it, fail forward, but keep going.
One thing, so we have started in September, so we are in the second month. We're doing accountability group. It's like a working space we do with the founders and members of the Moving Women Forward community. So we are trying to get as much as possible people achieve what they plan to achieve, get their goals on the roll, and reach the target, basically. But what I've noticed is one of the things, again, is it's so much about the achievements. So people still struggle to show their achievements, to share their achievements. They feel like they are little, very small steps, and they're doing nothing compared to big things that we see across social media platforms or we read online. So that comparison beat and the confidence again.
Listen, I think
what are your thoughts on
we all have those, like, do I want to share it? Is this good enough? Share it anyway, right? I've learned no one's going to know what you're capable of or what you're good at unless you tell people your story. And that isn't just, hey, I did something fantastic. It's the small win of, hey, I got a certification this week, or hey, I completed a project that I got on time and got some praise for. You never want to be in a position where you're rethinking sharing an achievement. You're always sharing the achievement. Don't ever doubt the ability that that's going to bring to you as a candidate and how employers rate that and view that. Every employer is going to want to see your kind of your brag sheet, right? And I look at LinkedIn as my brag sheet. Sometimes I do too much on it where I'm putting too much on there, but I think it's important to have that. Otherwise, what is your credibility, right? Outside of recommendations and word of mouth, what is someone going to see about you? And this is the perfect platform to do that. So even if it's insignificant, share it. I don't know if that helps.
You touched on LinkedIn, so that's great because we want to cover as much as possible of social media platforms. So how it works and how can we help businesses, founders, or if they are not business owners, they are people who are looking for a career growth anyway.
Sure.
What
I think the biggest thing is having a brand.
Like with optimizing, basically. Yeah, I'm gonna boil it down in the side of optimizing.
Sure. So it's your brand message, right? What do you do? What are you good at? Why are you a go-to expert in this field? Who are you, and why should someone care? That would be the high level elevator pitch. And then does that brand story resonate in your personal platform, your company platform? Do the two meet? And is there an authentic narrative that tells people about your products, your vision, and who you are? And one of the things I really enjoy about working at NASDAQ as a cornerstone mentor, I do that part-time and I help other founders. I just started doing that, I'd say about 2 months ago, is I help people refine their vision, their milestone. What are achievable goals that you can set for yourself, for your brand, for your business that you'd like to share on LinkedIn? Tie your vision to a marketing storytelling and then unify that on LinkedIn.
Amazing tip. That's a lot of work.
It is, but I think it's going to help somebody in the long run, right? Like if you have a website, you want to tie it to your company page on LinkedIn. You also want to tie it to your personal page. You want that uniformity all throughout. So when your customer's looking, they see you as kind of that one unified brand. The message is unified and you're completely where you need to be. So I think, the story has to be consistent.
That's quite clear.
It can't be Thalia, the reporter, in one section, and then Thalia, the researcher, in another section, and then Thalia, the coach. Someone's going to say, well, what the heck does Thalia do? And should I want to work with her? So I think a lot of it is dialing it back into a unified message. Thalia is a reporter, coach, and trainer. This is why Thalia is an expert. This is what she brings to the table. So sometimes a lot of people are afraid to unify their old career with what they're trying to do now in terms of their service. Well, that's giving your customer background on you, on why they should take a chance on you, what expertise you're bringing to the conversation. I hate to talk about the fact that I was a recruiter that worked in consulting in Big Four and in strategy consulting. But then I learned it helps me relate to my customer because my customer is always looking for someone that comes out of a consulting background, that has a mission to shape and improve and audit a process, right? So that helps me lean in and support my customer in a way that they feel like I'm coming in from a place of expertise. And I think that really helps define my brand, define the work that I'm doing, and helps other people take me seriously. So I always say, get your story to a point where you're giving people why they should work with you, your vision of what you do, and what your services are, and make sure it's unified. And that's, I think, the biggest tips I can offer someone.
Pretty clear. Thank you very much, Thalia, for sharing with us. I want to ask you something else, actually. LinkedIn has a proper etiquette. We call it etiquette, like how we do it, what we do, what we don't have to, so what we must and we must not do, the do's and don'ts, basically, of the platform. Now, on that topic, do you want to share with us one do and one don't,
I think
if
my
you can?
biggest do is the KISS style of posting. Keep it simple. I see a lot of people who go through this like 8 to 10 paragraph explanation of their storytelling. You might lose the audience after the first or second or third paragraph. I caution people to manage your storytelling and try to do like 3 to 4 paragraphs at the very most, because you don't want to lose your audience's attention. You want to keep it simple. Always have an image of yourself. They say that images actually help draw the reader in and draw the audience member in. So typically it's either a picture of you or a picture of you doing something or a really interesting background that draws your audience in. So I always have like a kind of like that quick snapshot of either yourself or an image of something you somewhere that's going to draw the reader. Or just don't give them a thesis. Like, don't give them a report on something that could be summed up in like 2 paragraphs or 3 paragraphs or less. So that would be it. Use your marketing skills to keep it simple, short, to the point. I think people appreciate that. There's so much content on social media. You want to make sure that your social media stands out, but in a positive way.
You've answered both, but for now, I see. So we are on the common mistakes that women make online. So it's not that they make online, but what holds them back? One of the mistakes that holds them back to be available online, to be visible online, and what can be one thing that you would
So
encourage
my
these women to do a bit differently,
my
so they are not
tip
held
would
back?
be personalization. I think a lot of people shy away from being personal on a platform like social media. In fact, it sounds cringy. You don't want to share a wedding picture. You don't want to tell a personal story. About a year ago, my mom passed from breast cancer. I'm preparing to do kind of a nice tribute story for October about that. I was so shocked by how many people cared, how I was able to bring out the message of cancer sucks, or let's bring awareness to cancer and why it's kind of the unspoken killer, right? She died of breast cancer that metastasized into bone cancer, and I was able to kind of just talk a little bit about the journey of being a caregiver and how I took a step back from working in Big Four public accounting to really help her through that journey. And there was so much outpouring of support and love from old recruiting coworkers, clients. People really just responded to understanding kind of where I was in the time I was going through in my life. And it helped people understand that I was making a pivot, coming out of kind of recruiting and moving into another phase of my life. Because I opened myself up a little bit more. I let myself be vulnerable on a platform like a social media platform, which most people cringe at, right? You usually don't want to share like a story of a death on Facebook or on LinkedIn. You want to share that within your family, but if it's a good story that needs to be told to bring awareness around something like cancer, why not share it? Obviously, if it's something that you think will help other people and other women, share the story, be vulnerable. You never know who's out there looking for tips or wants that same solidarity and camaraderie like you have, because you know you're there offering up yourself in a way that someone can relate. So I say lean into social media and be vulnerable and allow for people to see you as your authentic self, because trust me, a lot of people don't realize that there's a power in storytelling, especially on LinkedIn. That would be my advice.
Thank you, Talia, for sharing with us again one of these moments. It's a personal journey and your personal experience, after all, that you have shared with the community and with LinkedIn networking. One question, right? I think this is the last. I promise this is the last one, right? So, Thalia, talking about opportunities and talking about personal journey shared across social media platforms. Would you think so? Our community is multi-ethnic. We have people from different backgrounds. I, for first, come from a different country. I've lived in another country, and now I'm based in London, UK.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a journey, right? So, do you think that sharing these personal stories, it is a bit somehow related with the cultural background? So some cultures share more.
No,
I'm
it's
not
okay. I
pointing
mean, I hear where you're
fingers,
going.
or I'm not even putting anyone in the
Yeah,
box, but
I
is it a
know
little bit connected?
in the
Yeah.
US, we tend to do a lot of storytelling. I think it's a part of our advertising, right? It's a part of the way we market ourselves is by letting people in and letting them learn about us. I think it is a cultural phenomenon. I mean, advertising is throughout what we do. I do a ton of LinkedIn advertising, but I think it is a cultural phenomenon. I think that some cultures are a bit more formal and don't want to do that, don't want to share as much. I think some cultures don't want to put anything out there, right? Just basically because of religious observation. They feel like it's, this is too much of a public space to do that. I think finding your fit or finding what works for you. You don't have to throw everything out there, but sharing things that you think will tie to your audience and help them see you as a leader or an authentic voice that's going to want them to lean in and work with you even more is going to be helpful. You're not just throwing, a paper out there or a marketing commercial out there or just like a small like tidbit about yourself. You want to kind of give them a bit more, right? Like, give me a reason to want to click further. Give me a reason to want to explore this. What's the catch? What's your carrot? I know this is cheesy. It's an American expression. We call it a carrot. What's the thing that someone's going to be attracted to want to know a little bit more about you? And so although it might seem a little like cringing, sharing a bit more about yourself on LinkedIn gives the customer, it's like the insight of who am I meeting, who am I working with, who am I getting a chance to get to know based on what you're sharing on your website or on your LinkedIn page or on your LinkedIn content. So don't take it from a place of it's too much of a public space. Take it from the platform or take it from the standpoint of what do you want people to know about you and the business and the service that you're offering, right? And a lot of times it's not from a 2-second preview on a post. It's taking the time to give people a glimpse of what they're getting for the money they're investing in your product and your service. You're
Very
welcome.
clear. Thank you very much, Thalia. So we've come to an end of our conversation. Was very, very inspiring, very, very, very pleasant conversation, I must say. It's difficult to be live, but it is the way it is. And yeah. So Thalia, are you running any workshop? Are you doing any challenge, or do you have any resource that you would like to share with the audience? If you want to share it now, or you can
I
also
think
pop the
two
links
two
in the
business
comments
partners are
in
going
the
to
event
kill
thread.
me
You're
for
more than
saying
welcome.
this, but I am working on something. We're working on a 300,000 Black women. It's called Built for Black Women initiative, where we're trying to create somewhat of a summit and tools for women who have been impacted in the diversity cuts. Right, it's a big thing happening in the U.S. right now. A lot of women are trying to retool and reshape. So that's coming up right now. Nothing else. That's been the biggest project for me. But there is going to be some things happening in November, December. I don't want to spend too much more. But right now, my major project is called Built for Black Women, and we're trying to work on a summit around offering different coaching products and helping to reposition women of color who've been majorly impacted by the workforce layoffs and downsizing. Yeah.
Sounds a very big project, and very, very, it will be a success. I'm sure about that. I can see the energy there. I can feel it. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Thalia, for being here with us today. And thank you everybody who stayed, who tuned today and watching the replay.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to do that later during the day. You can watch the replay. But tune in next week for another episode with another stellar speaker, Moving Women Forward podcast.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much,
Thanks for
Thalia.
having me.
Take care, everybody.